Our topic is homelessness in Lexington, and on my individual content page, you will find information about addiction and those homeless struggling with addiction. I will go into further detail to discuss the stereotypes that these people face and how they do not get the help that they need, and also how big the issue has become. Something I focus my attention on throughout the page is how the recovery programs lack in some areas. I also focus on how people think badly about the homeless. Another issue I discuss on my page is how people stereotype instead of helping. According to bestdrugrehabilitation.com, roughly 60% of the population are dealing with some sort of addiction. They end up losing everything because they are addicted. 43% of the homeless population have some form of a disability. In Housing First for homeless persons with active addiction, are we overachieving? In the United States, an estimated 671,888 persons were homeless on an average. 123,833 people were designated as chronically homeless. National data shows that in the past year, 38% of the homeless had problems with alcohol, 46% with drugs, and 45% with non-addiction mental health disorders. Kurtzeg et al. Recent studies estimate that 40% of chronically homeless individuals have substance abuse disorders. Gray 2015.
Being homeless is a major stressor for any ordinary person, but being homeless and suffering from a mental illness is even harder. Castello et al. 2015 found that when people with mental illness are put in high-stress situations, their mental illness can worsen. It is critical that they get help. Kelly Gunning and others from the NAMI organization argue that the reason you see a high amount of people with mental illness in the homeless population is because they didn't receive the help or treatment they needed in the first place, so they end up on the streets. According to Gunning, many homeless people go to jail or even prison for minor crimes such as vagrancy. Rather than judging someone for being homeless, think about how they might have gotten there and how you can help. In a study conducted by Henwood et al. 2014, they found that when homeless people with mental illness had their basic needs met, they had a greater recovery experience. More funding should be devoted to helping homeless people with mental illness. Mental illnesses are just as serious as physical illnesses or injuries, if not more so.
Untreated mental illness, addiction, and childhood trauma can spin a life out of control and into homelessness. It is imperative that one seeks the treatment he or she needs in order to make it through recovery. The process of recovery is different for everyone, as there are many types of resources to do so. Recovery programs include outpatient treatment, inpatient treatment, transitional housing, individual therapy, group counseling, and support groups. One of the most important things to do when staying in a homeless and addiction treatment facility is to attend therapy meetings. There are many different approaches to therapy, and they should be looked at closely to see which type a particular facility offers before deciding to stay there. The right therapy will be key to a successful recovery. Through therapy, one can develop healthy strategies to cope with stress or boredom that don't involve drugs or alcohol. Research has revealed that the longer a homeless patient with a substance addiction stays in treatment, the more likely he or she is to achieve and maintain sobriety, as Z 2002. When it is time to leave the facility, it is important that the program helps one get back on his or her feet and sets one up for continued success. Christy Respress, director of a nonprofit Pathways to Housing DC, said, "Mental illness, addiction, and homeless do not discriminate. One of these challenges could happen to me, you, any of us. While we continue to seek out the newest and best treatments for mental illness and addiction, we do know the cure for chronic homelessness. It's housing first." Christy Respress, 2014.
Under the tab labeled Funding, viewers will discover where, when, and how the organizations supporting and fighting the fight against chronic homelessness are funded. There will be an abundance of information on the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, a major stakeholder in funding for the homeless, with a distinct goal to set a path to ending all types of homelessness. Megan Henry et al. 2016. As you read through the provided information, there will be a few graphics depicting awards given to organizations in Lexington from HUD based on a two-tier rank-based program, Office of Homelessness Prevention and Intervention 2016, and statistics that estimate the numbers for homelessness in Kentucky, provided by the 2016 Annual Homeless Assessment Report. In addition to statistics, viewers will also get an overview of how funding directly affects mental illness, addiction, and recovery when it comes to the homeless population.